the darkness. You're the only right among the wrong. You're the only hope among the chaos. You are the voice that calls me on, louder than every lie, my sword in every fight. The truth will chase away the night. Your name is power over darkness, freedom for the captives, mercy for the broken and the hopeless. Your name is faithful in the battle, glory in the struggle, mighty won't let us down or fail us. Your name is power. Your name is power. I know that it's written, hope is certain. I know that the word will never fail. I know that in every situation you speak the power to prevail, louder than every lie, my sword in every fight. The truth will chase away the night. Your name is power over darkness, freedom for the captives, mercy for the broken and the hopeless. Your name is faithful in the battle, glory in the struggle, mighty won't let us down or fail us. Your name is power. Your name is power. When you speak, you scatter darkness, light arrives and heaven opens. Holy Spirit, let us hear it. When you speak, your church awakens. We believe that change is coming. Holy Spirit, let us see it. 'Cause when you speak, you scatter darkness, light arise and heaven opens. Holy Spirit, let us hear it. 'Cause when you speak, the church awakens. We believe that change is coming. Holy Spirit, let us see it. Your name is power over darkness, freedom for the captives, mercy for the broken and the hopeless. Your name is faith in the battle, glory in the struggle, mighty won't let us down or fail us. Your name is power over darkness, freedom for the captives, mercy for the broken and the hopeless. Your name is faithful in the battle, glory in the struggle, mighty won't let us down or fail us. Your name is power, Jesus. Your name is power. Your name is power. Your name is power.
Hi, I'm Lavon, and welcome to Online Church. I just have a few announcements for you. I want to remind you that we are also meeting in person now on Sundays, 9:15 and 10:45. And next Sunday, during the first service, the kids will be having a Valentine's Day party. So if you have kids, you don't want to miss out on that. That'll be the 9:15 service for the kids. And also, if you are not already part of a small group, if you would comment below, we will get you connected with one of those groups. And finally, there are several ways that you can give financially. You can send it in the mail, you can give through text, or you can give online. And we just appreciate your gifts in whatever way it works for you to give. And lastly, I wanted to ask if you are blessed by our videos, would you please like and share them? That will help us reach more people.
Hey, my name is Dave, and welcome to our new sermon series called More, Jesus and His Miracles of Increase. Now, at Restore, and actually a lot of churches, they prefer to preach in series. And kind of what that means is we usually take about a month and we kind of hover around the same theme, and it helps us to focus. It hopefully helps you to kind of focus and kind of track with where we're going. And I liken it to taking like a history class. What if you showed up to the history class one day and it's ancient Egyptian history, and you show up the next day and it's Canadian history, and you're just lost, you don't know how to study or what to be thinking about? Just a bad deal. And so as we do sermons and stuff at Restore, we prefer to hover around a certain theme or idea, and we call it a series. And so we are starting this new series called More, Jesus and His Miracles of Increase. Thank you for joining us. Now, how many of you guys want more? Right? More out of life. Just recently, the Powerball and Mega Millions, those lotteries, they were up over 700 or 800 million. And I usually don't pay attention to the lottery, usually don't buy tickets, but I know a lot of people who were starting to talk about it because this idea of, wow, what could I do if I had more money? If I had $850 million of more money, what could I do? And so some people who normally don't buy tickets go out and buy tickets because that idea of more is so appealing. And but some of us, maybe our dreams are a little smaller, right? We want more time to sleep, right? Your alarm goes off and you want more sleep. Some of us, we want more coffee, right? We want the second cup. We want more. Some of us, we want more caffeine, right? We want more. For me, this next week is the Super Bowl, and I'm not ready for the season to end. I want more football. And unfortunately, my team, they didn't even make it to the playoffs, and so I've been kind of a football orphan for the last few weeks. So I want more football. Some people want more with their Coke. So I saw this the other day. We're doing a little taste test. This is Coke with coffee, because we live in a culture that wants more, and so we keep combining things. We want more flavors. We want more caffeine. We want our things to have more things in them. And so you get this thing where you get Coke with coffee. And it sounds strange. I actually don't really prefer Coca-Cola to begin with, but I love coffee. And so I usually try anything that is coffee and coffee related. Like seriously, you could put coffee in almost anything, and I'd try it once just because. So Coke with coffee. It's interesting. So it's lightly carbonated. So it's almost it's almost like Coke that's a little flat. And then there is some definite coffee flavor to it. It says it's great Coca-Cola taste blended with rich, luxurious coffee. I believe that's more marketing than truth there. I wouldn't buy it again, I'll put it that way. But we are a culture that wants more. So let's dive in. I'm going to read to you a story from John chapter 2, 1 through 12. It says this. It says, "The next day there was a wedding celebration in the village of Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus with his disciples were also invited to the celebration. The wine supply ran out during the festivities." Now, I'll pause there for a second. Now, in like American weddings, they're short, right? And truth be told, I'm not a huge fan of weddings. I dislike formalities. I don't want to get dressed up. If I go to a wedding, I want to be in and out of there in like an hour. I'm just not a fan. Like I'm glad I am married, but I don't need this. I don't need the ceremony. I don't need all the extra stuff. I like get the ceremony over. Let's cut the cake and go home. I don't want to. I just not a fan. But in Jewish culture, weddings were a big deal, and they were a long celebration, and often they lasted about a week. And it sounds terrible to me. And so, and I don't know what all it entailed, but there was meals and dancing and wine and all of these different elements and things for about a week. And so they are partway through this thing, and it doesn't tell us exactly whether they're on day 3 or day 5, but just how it reads, it sounds as if they're on the tail end of this thing. So the wine supply ran out during the festivities. So Jesus' mother told him, "They have no more wine." "Dear woman, that's not our problem." So Jesus is like, "Come on, Mom. Like I'm just a guest here." But his mother told the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Standing nearby were 6 stone water jars used for Jewish ceremonial washing. Each could hold 20 to 30 gallons. That's between 120 and 180 gallons. Jesus told the servants, "Fill the jars with water." When the jars had been filled, he said, "Now dip some out and take it to the master of ceremonies." So the servants followed his instructions. When the master of ceremonies tasted the water that was now wine, not knowing where it had come from, though of course the servants knew, he called the bridegroom over. "A host always serves the best wine first," he said. "Then when everyone has had a lot to drink, he brings out the less expensive wine. But you have kept the best until now." This miraculous sign at Cana in Galilee was the first time Jesus revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After the wedding, he went to Capernaum for a few days with his mother, his brothers, and his disciples. So it's a unique story. It is a story that has definitely there's some cultural stuff in there. It's not really so much about it's not really a drinking story, and it's not a story necessarily about the party in a sense. Now, running out of wine for that family, if they had run out before the festivities were over, that would have been an embarrassment. It would have brought probably some gossip about that family, and it wouldn't have been a great look for them. And so it was important. This was an important miracle that Jesus did, for that family. It definitely impacted them. It was important to his disciples. This really started to confirm to them who Jesus really was. So there are some really significant things that are happening there. But we're going to look at the story, and we're going to kind of look at it through the lens of our eyes and what it may mean to us today. And it's because it's his first miracle. It has significance because it's his first miracle. It's kind of this first take, this who is Jesus, and this would have started some of the talking during that time. And so it's a cool story. 180 gallons of wine, that's a lot of wine. We don't know how many guests there were. So if there were 180 guests, that's like, you do the math, that's like each guest gets another gallon of wine. But we don't know how many guests there are. And like I said, it's not really a story about drinking necessarily. And maybe it would have been cool if he would have turned some of the water into Coke with coffee. Maybe not. Maybe he was right in doing what he did. Now, Jesus does a lot of miracles, this being the first, but he does a lot of miracles. And his miracles, you can't just easily divide them up, but you see different types of miracles that he does. And there are times where the Bible just says he heals this person because he was moved by compassion. And so there's definitely miracles where it seems like compassion is maybe the chief motivator of Jesus. There are times he does a miracle and Jesus says, your faith has healed you. And so there are times where it seems as if the motivating factor in the miracle was that person's faith. There are times when Jesus does a miracle because he's asked by his disciples or his followers. There's times he does miracles where it seems like, and if Jesus doesn't show up and do something right now, this story is just going to end tragically. So, and there are other times, and this being one of them, where Jesus does this miracle, and what he does is he takes whatever it is and he multiplies. It's Jesus, and it's his miracle of increase. And so there's a handful of these miracles. We're going to be looking at them over the next month. These handful of miracles where the miracle, it multiplies whatever it was, and it just increases it. And that's kind of the avenue we're going to be traveling down for this. Now, first thing I want to say is when we talk about miracles, when we talk about Jesus and all that, you got to point out that there is no power greater than a meddling mother. Right? Except Jesus. Because this is crazy. Like, this isn't a time where Jesus is moved by compassion. This isn't a time where somebody's great faith Jesus just has to answer this person. In fact, his mother comes to him and Jesus is like, dear woman, that's not our problem. But she continued. Now, Mary, his mother, she knows who Jesus is, and I think she knows what he's capable of. That's why she goes to him in the first place. And she, in a sense, she presses the issue, right? He says, this isn't my deal. I'm just a guest here at this wedding. Why are you involving me in this? And then she tells the servants, she tells kind of the waiters, like, hey, get over here. Do whatever Jesus says. Like, she is pushing the issue, and in probably a really sweet, meddling mother sort of way, obviously, right? But she pushes it. And it's an important lesson that we need to look at. There is a verse, a couple of verses in Luke chapter 11 that kind of relate to this. It says, verses 9 through 11, and so I tell you, keep on asking, and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking, and you will find it. Keep on knocking, and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, everyone who seeks finds, and to everyone who knocks, the door will be opened. And these verses happen right after Jesus has given his disciples, his followers, they ask Jesus, like, teach us how to pray. And so Jesus gives them kind of the Lord's Prayer. And as it goes on, and as Jesus gives them that, then these verses, he tells them these things. And so Jesus is telling them, like, hey, guys, pay attention. When you approach God, keep on asking. When you approach God in prayer, keep asking, keep knocking, keep going after it. Keep looking. For everyone who asks receives, everyone who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be open. So Jesus is saying, like, when you go to God and you have this need, keep pressing in, keep asking, don't give up. Right? If God's answer, if his miracle doesn't come the first time you ask, keep asking. And we see this with Mary. Jesus at first kind of brushes her aside and says, this isn't my concern. But Mary presses the issue. And Jesus responds. And I think there is a lesson there that we need to have persistence in our prayer life. Right? I think Jesus wants to do more in your life. There are miracles that are waiting to happen for those who keep asking. for those who keep seeking, for those who keep knocking. And Mary was persistent. And a miracle was the result of that. So that's a big lesson. Don't give up. Don't feel like, I've prayed for this thing once and God didn't seem to come through. I'm just gonna leave it there. Don't do that. If that is still a need in your life, if this is still a thing that is causing you hurt, if this is still an area where you are lacking and you need more in this, keep asking, keep knocking, keep seeking, right? That's what Jesus tells his disciples to do. And when Jesus' mother does that, a miracle happens. Another lesson in this, I think, is that miracles happen when we reach the end of ourselves and turn to Jesus. Right? Miracles happen when we don't have anything. Like this family, whoever's putting on the wedding, they run out. They run out of wine. And all they have is, when you read the story, even the water jars aren't full of water. They've got to go fill those. So they run out. And then in this particular story, Jesus is right there. So it's logical, and his mother's there. But they run out and they turn to Jesus. Galatians 2:20 says, "My old self has been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. So I live in this earthly body by trusting in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me." 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come." And we start to get this picture, this idea that oftentimes the miracles happen when we run out of ourselves, when we have nothing left, when we reach the end and we turn to Jesus and we have nothing of our own to rely on, and we can only rely on him. There is something that happens in us. See, it seems as if whenever we still have a thing of our own to rely on, whenever we have that safety net of our own, whenever we still have, a puncher's chance, we'll lean into that. We'll lean into our own thing. We'll look at our own nest egg. We'll look at our own safety net. But when the times come when we can't fix it, when we have nothing left, when we've reached the end of ourself, and then we turn completely to Jesus, that's when the miracle happens. That's when Jesus tells the servants to go fill the water jars. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. When we reach that point where we are done with ourself and our way, and we begin to rely on Jesus, the miracle happens. And what Jesus does in this story, he will do in your story. And what he's doing is there's this transformation. He literally turns water into wine. In your life, he will take your old self, your sinful, broken, hurt self, and he will transform you into a new creation. He will transform your way of thinking. He will redeem you. He will change you. He will take your heart that is hard like a stone, and he will make it come alive. And it's a transformation from what is left into what is desired. They had nothing left, but they desired wine for the rest of their festival and their ceremony and their party. And Jesus does that. He transforms what we have left into what we desire. When we give him the rest of us, when we come to him hands open saying, I have nothing left to offer, just this little bit, just who I am, just this. And we offer that to Jesus. He transforms that into what was desired, into what we want. We go from our lack into his abundance, right? From our lack into his abundance. John 10:10 says, I have come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly. And we see that Jesus, his purpose in coming was to take our life and pour into us something bigger, something more, something better. His Spirit transforms us, makes us new, takes what little we have left and turns it into something abundant. How amazing is that? And he has been doing it for a long time. And this story of turning water into wine it's his first miracle. It's a real historical event. It happened. But it's interesting too in that Jesus is coming to save his people. Jesus is sent by God to save them and to rescue them from their bondage. And you can go back and you can see this is what God does. This is the story he is writing. God is writing a story of redemption where he comes to us. And we are in our brokenness, in our sin, in our bondage, in our enslavement. And he is coming to write a new story where he takes our brokenness and transforms it. He takes what we have left and he transforms it into something brand new. He transforms it into something more, something that we have desired all along. From our lack into his abundance. And we see foreshadows of that even going back to Moses. If you remember, Moses sent by God to rescue the people out of slavery in Egypt. And the first plague, the first sign that God is going to do this thing, that he's going to rescue them, Moses turns water into blood. And then you fast forward all these years, and in John, Jesus' first miracle, he turns water into wine. And you can fast forward to the Last Supper when Jesus is sharing this Passover meal with his disciples before he's about to go die on the cross. And he takes the cup. He takes the wine. And he says, "This is my body. This is my blood, spilled for you." And we see this significance of some of what he was doing back in Exodus, the beginning of John. And it plays out as God is writing this story where he is going to rescue us. This is my blood. The wine from the wedding in Cana. Now, it wasn't the same wine in his cup at the Passover. But we see the imagery. We see the line thread through the story of God. And a lot of what this idea in this story tells me, what I feel like this story is communicating to us, to you, is that there is better to come. Right? Jesus turns the water into wine towards the end of the ceremony. And the master of ceremonies, he is surprised because the best was seemingly saved for last. And I think in that, we can take this lesson, we can pull this lesson out where there is better to come. You might feel like you are 5 days into this thing and you have run out. But with Jesus, with his power to take our lack and turn it into abundance, with his ability to provide more, there's better to come. I don't know what your circumstances are right now. I don't know what thing it is that you look at and you just are stressed out over. You look at this circumstance and you don't know what to do. You feel like you are at the end of yourself. You feel like it's a hopeless situation. You've tried and you are just spinning your wheels and you don't know what to do next. I want to tell you, you are in the right place. They ran out of wine. And Jesus took what little they had empty jars, and transformed it into what they desired. So whatever circumstance you're facing it just feels like you're at the end of yourself. It just feels like this is an insurmountable thing. This is a thing that is causing stress and frustration and sleepless nights. Whatever it is, it could be a broken relationship. It could be a relationship that is just not functioning how it should. It could be a job situation, a financial situation, a health situation, whatever it is. When I read the miracles of Jesus, this thing that I see happen over and over again, and I see it happen in this miracle, is I see people come to Jesus with nothing left, with having reached the end of themselves, and Jesus transforms that situation. He does the miraculous. He turns their little into much. And so I want to tell you, there's better to come. When you trust in Jesus, when you have faith, when you can come to him and ask and keep asking and keep asking, there is better to come. Jesus turns our little into much. And you maybe feel like right now you have very little to offer. And that's all you need to offer is your very little. This wedding party needed wine, and they had empty jars to offer. And Jesus transformed their empty jars into filled jars. And Jesus can take your emptiness and transform it.
Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to be save that thou art. Thou my best thought by day or
Thou my great Father, and I thy true Son. Thou in me dwelling, and I with thee one. Riches I heed not, no man's empty praise. Thou my inheritance now and always. Thou and thou only first in my heart. High King of heaven, my treasure thou art. Be thy compassion, my love for the poor. Break my distraction so I can't ignore the least of your children, the ones you adore. Loved by them, Jesus, I worship